What's up, y'all? Benny and Cole back for Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Network. Rate, review, subscribe. Got the link tree, got the Twitter, we got the TikTok, got all the social media. Give us the like, give us the little 5-star love. We'd appreciate it. Cole, man, I don't know where to start, but probably should start with last night, even though we don't want to. We got the rivalry game, didn't go the way we like. And yeah, we'll start there, then get to the red hot football team and wherever else we go after that, man.
Yeah, I mean, last night, that's a tough one to swallow. I called it a confusing game in my column. First half there, Louisville got hot, and it looked like they were about to run Kentucky out of the building. It was an 18-point game. Kentucky battles back, gets back within striking distance before halftime. You think, hey, maybe if they can go on a run here, it can be something. Come out just not looking very good to start the second half. They're back down by 20. I mean, it seems like once again they're about to get ran out of the building. And then they come back. They're back within four late. Ends up being an 8-point loss. But kind of like I said in my recap of it felt like from the moment that first deficit came, the 18-point deficit, you know, um, regardless of how close they got, it always felt like they were trying to dig themselves out of a hole they created, and they just never could quite do it down the stretch late. Just too many missed opportunities, too many, fatal errors. Mark Pope was pretty frustrated after the game. They only had 14 assists, 14 turnovers. That's a crisp 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Not what you want to see from this Kentucky team. Louisville did a better job distributing the ball. Louisville did a better job taking care of the ball. And as I wrote in my column, quite frankly, at the end of the day, Louisville got more out of its stars than Kentucky did.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And my whole thing, we heard Pope say it, and we saw the way this team was put together roster wise. They wanted to be better defensively. They knew they had to be, when you're barely top 50 in Kim Palm, historically, your season isn't going to end where you want to end, especially when your team like Kentucky. So that was a focus, more athleticism, toughness, strength, physicality. And he even talked about how they spent more time in practice defensively thus far to this point of the season. And then they go out there and just get carved up
Yeah,
and
bad
not
defense, bad
have
defensively.
an answer. Like Louisville was humming, you know, we know baseball pitching, you want to disrupt the timing of the hitter. Well, you thought at some point we'd try to disrupt the timing of Louisville's offense, but they were humming. They were efficient. They did whatever they want. They got open shots. They got to the rim. Number 10 that transferred from Virginia, the shooter that you can't leave open. He was fortunately missing some wide open looks that's like, he would make those in his sleep. And we're just like, oh, thank God we dodged that bullet. Or it could have been even more out of hand. So, um, yeah, to not have answers defensively, it's a rivalry. Louisville is little brother. The little brother does win sometimes. It's the history of this rivalry. Kentucky was up 40-17 going in. They weren't 57-0. So Louisville does win. Louisville won last night. Got to give them credit, but to be down 20 to Louisville, that they don't just beat you down no matter where the game is. And do we all have a problem with it being played so early? Yes, but it was played early for them too. It's not like Louisville played 15 games in their season and we'd only played two. It was just as early for them as it was for us. So is it panic mode? No, even though a lot of our fans will, but we still would have liked to seen it. Some of those things be a little bit better last night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one, to your point about the rivalry nature, Pat Kelsey once again reiterated in the post game, said it's only a rivalry if you win one every now and again. So this was a good one for Louisville to get to keep the rivalry going. Um, as for, the concern factor, I think there's a lot of things that go into that. One, I would agree with you in what you said. We've heard all offseason that defense is going to be a focus of this team, and it was just kind of non-existent in this one. Just absolutely carved up, and they admitted
Yeah.
post game, it was something they knew was a weakness. It was something that existed from the Georgetown exhibition, and they didn't really have an answer for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what the answer is going to be, but you're gonna have to figure it out soon. To me, I wrote my column for the Cat's Paws, and my biggest point of concern in this one, the column, if you want to read it yourself, column stars dimmed in a top 15 loss to Louisville. It's what I talked about early on in this episode, but freshman superstar Mikael Brown Jr. for Louisville finished with 29 points on 18 shots. He had 5 assists. Ryan Conwell was there, 24 points, 16 shots. Even when guys like McNeely maybe weren't hitting some of their shots, they had stars who stepped up and filled that role. Kentucky really didn't have that. I mean, we obviously saw Denzel have a strong 26-point showing, prove that he belongs in that conversation of some of Kentucky's most valuable players. Cam Williams got on the floor and didn't leave it, quite frankly. I mean, it's just a shame that he didn't get in until there was 12 minutes left in the game. But he had his best game in Kentucky Blue. But Mark Pope can say, and I'm not saying he's wrong. I do think it was a major problem in this game that Kentucky was out assisted and had more turnovers than Louisville. That's going to be a difference in a game. But it was something that was a bit more concerning to me. Coming into the season, we heard all year long, preseason SEC Player of the Year, Otega Owe, right? By the time Otega Owe fouled out in this contest, he had just 12 points, 4 for 13 from the field, 5 turnovers. He was the lowest plus minus in the Cats. So if you don't know how plus minus works for anyone out there, plus minus basically tracks how well the team is playing against its opponent while you're on the floor. So kind of think like tracking runs. Like when you're on the floor, does the other team tend to score more, or does your team kind of tend to chip away at that? Otega Owe was a team low -16 in that. Cam Williams, I think, was by far the best Cat with a plus 11. Only 3 total Cats were positive. Cam Williams with a plus 11. Jasper Johnson somehow with a plus 3, even though Johnson himself also didn't really, step up into the spotlight. 0 for 4 from the field for 0 points. And then Denzel Aberdeen with his 26 points on 20 shots had a plus 1. But outside of, Otega, who was supposed to be your best player this year, -16, the 5 turnovers. I mean, I think there was a lot of people that were pretty concerned, and I was admittedly concerned myself. Just not great body language on the court. Seemed frustrated, seemed like he was throwing his hands up. Brandon Garrison's another one who was -3, just 3 points on 2 shots. Lost a ball out of bounds late, and I think the game was kind of over by the point already, but I pointed out, I think in one of my threads, that it was down on Kentucky's side and the ball was going out of bounds, and he just kind of let it go. Jalen Lowe, only his second game in Kentucky Blue. He struggles a bit more than he did in the first game. Obviously, first game he was 5 assists, no turnovers. He still had 5 assists, but he added 3 turnovers to that, including a couple that were pretty costly. Just 2 for 8 from the floor. And I said really the dagger in this contest, though you could argue they were already going to lose by that point anyway. But late in that one, Lowe gets it down in Kentucky territory and tries to go under the basket and steps on the baseline. It's an out of bounds turnover. I mean, that just really killed any chance Kentucky had whatsoever. Mohamed Diabate, another one, -15, the plus minus. Just a lot of these players who we kind of came into the season expecting to be the guy or expecting to have the chance to be the guy who are supposed to fill these roles just did not appear in this one. Or, the point I think I made at the end of that column, I said next Tuesday, Kentucky's in New York City and they're going to face off against Michigan State in another ranked matchup. But I said, I'll read you this paragraph towards the end of the column. It said, at the end of the day, Kentucky has the potential to be team great, as Pope implied after the Georgetown loss. But if it wants a chance to win it all and complete the assignment, it's going to need to be more than that. It's going to need its stars to be consistent. And above all, it's going to need its best players to actually lift up the team and not act as anchors when the team is on the floor. And last night, those best players were arguably hurting Kentucky more than they were helping them.
If always, everybody expects him to take that step. That's why he's projected where he was. Because let's be honest, when he came from Oklahoma, we didn't expect what we got in year one. New school, new system, new coach coming from Oklahoma. You never played for Pope. We didn't, and then for him to, kind of step into being that dude. You knew what you could get, pencil him in, double figures, kind of stuff in the stat sheet every game. So we hear Pope say, most of his guys from year one to year two, especially freshmen, and that's true with a lot of pretty much everywhere, every sport, you get better from year one to year two. So we're just expecting the natural progression. Well, this dude is really about to, step his game up and go to another level or two and be the legit super duper star on this Kentucky team. And maybe he still will. And if he doesn't, then that kind of sets everything back from what we all kind of thought we would kind of
Yeah, I
see
mean,
unfold.
I feel like when you look at that, it is interesting to look at the second year syndrome with these cats. Um, obviously Colin Chandler is leaps and bounds better than he was last year. We started to see some of what he could be towards the end of last year, but he
Mm-hmm.
looks, I mean, I made the point after the game, I was talking to somebody and I was saying it half jokingly, but I said, imagine telling someone at the start of the year that like night in, night out, your most consistent best player might be Colin Chandler on this team right now. In terms of the player that you can count on night in, night out to give you a consistently good performance every single week, it might be Colin Chandler right now. Would have shocked me, and he did some great things. His 3-point ball was a big part of that run that helped Kentucky
Mm-hmm.
get back within 4. And then Trent Noah, we haven't really gotten to see a ton. We've heard him be described as like a calming presence, that he is the kind of guy who's going to be a starter or sixth man for this team this year. I haven't really got to see that a ton because obviously he goes down in the season opener against Nichols with his ankle injury, is ruled out for Valparaiso, was not ruled out for this one, but did not play. 0 minutes on the floor, did not touch the floor. Seemed like he was able to go, but they chose not to. I don't know that would have really made a difference, but it was interesting to me to see that. So we haven't really got to see what kind of improvements he's going to make. I mean, obviously he played well against Purdue to help get that exhibition win. Nobody really played well against Georgetown, so we don't really know. But the other two guys, the two that were arguably higher touted returners, Tega Owe seems a step back. Obviously, he came to Kentucky last year with not a lot of expectations. Nobody really knew what to expect from that guy. He became the best player on the team, arguably. But that's not the reality anymore. I mean, quite frankly, you can shock people last year, but coming into this season, people know you as Kentucky beat out the NBA to get you back. You chose Kentucky over professional basketball. Your
Mm-hmm.
SEC preseason player of the year. I mean, you got the chance to be the superstar on this team, and he's kind of just felt like another guy a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I know there is the concern of turf toe. I know it's a lingering thing. We don't know how he's feeling, but I do think if it is kind of pain, a lot of that's causing some of this, consider not playing him in some of these more easy games, because his attitude, his play, it's not looked like what you needed it to be. And then Brandon Garrison, I mean, another guy who I just feel like you would have hoped for a bigger jump from Brandon Garrison than you've gotten from him so far. There's been a lot of people still, to this day, calling for Malachi Marino to take more of his minutes. And granted, Malachi's a bit better than some of us thought he would be
Yeah.
coming into college. But, Brandon Garrison, getting him back was supposed to be a pretty big deal. He played behind Amari last year. He was expected to kind of step into that starter role until Jaden gets back. And now he's in a potentially a minutes battle with a true freshman
Yeah.
that didn't have a ton of expectations coming into the season. So kind of 50-50 ish with an asterisk because we don't really know about Trent Noah right now. But the year 1 to year 2, it's not quite what we expected to see from some of these guys, at least thus far. Again, the caveat that we're only a couple games into the season.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. There's a lot of basketball to be played. Pope even said a few games ago, this team's kind of still figuring each other out. They're still kind of figuring out how they're going to work. But it's easy to overreact, and I'm going to try not to do that. So I'm not going to say too much, but that was a concerning display for me in the KFC Yum Center. And it does feel a bit silly to say a concerning display in a game they lost by single digits against the number 12 team in their arena, a very hostile atmosphere. There was a great crowd in Louisville, a very rowdy, full crowd in Louisville. And a very good basketball team in Louisville too. Don't
Yeah,
no disrespect to
yeah,
them. They're this is not the Louisville of a few years ago. This is a very good basketball team. And say what you want to about the rivalry. I do like Pat Kelsey as a coach. I think he's a great basketball coach, and he's clearly built a very good roster up there. So this is no loss to scoff at, but kind of like we talked about in some of these other things, whether it be with the football team or with the basketball exhibition or anything, it's not necessarily that you lost, it's how you lost that concerns me. And a lot of the reasons that Kentucky lost, raise some red flags to me.
yeah, yeah. And I've had those same thoughts. I'm not trying to pile on the same thoughts about Brandon Garrison. Just last year in the Amari role, there was times. What is he looking at? What is because the five is expected to facilitate, and get dimes and initiate a lot of things and get the offense going. And we saw, Amari, who's with your Celtics now, a lot of the passes he would make, a lot of dimes he would drop, and there were times Love BG and Mark Pope was even talking him up in media sessions last year about the potential and what to expect from him down the road and all of these things. There's times I know you saw it too, Cole. He's at the top of the key initiating the offense. Kobe Brea runs right in front of him at the top of the key, wide open, and he's still backing down and looking. I'm like, hand the ball to the dude that shoots 50% from three wide open instead of looking to try to make some tough pass at some bad angle that's going to be a turnover and going to get intercepted, going to get stolen. Here's Brea curling right in front of you, and why are you not seeing him and giving little stuff? I'm like, dude, where's the So those are the things that you hope you don't see, and just his overall grasp of the role. Like you said, the year one to year two isn't where you nailed it. It's not where we really thought it would be. It's early. It's not panic. Let's not jump off a building and it's not just start slitting our wrists and stuff. But it's still, look how Louisville looked. Look how we looked, and it was early for them as well. And for them to be that efficient and just humming, they couldn't be. They did whatever they wanted. Uh, the dagger, like you mentioned, Jalen Lowe stepping out of bounds. He also got muscled for a bunny at the end. Just straight weight room. I'm stronger. You're not gonna do anything to stop me, and that was brutal. So yeah, credit to Louisville. Kentucky still got a lot of pieces to be fine. It's just when your rival does you that way, it just makes it that much more of a bad taste in their mouth. But that's where everybody's at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The positive or the negative, depending on how you look at it, is because of the way the schedule shapes out this year, a tough non-conference schedule for Kentucky. You're kind of in the same boat as the football program was, where we're talking about that bad taste in the mouth, kind of like the Tennessee game was for Kentucky a few weeks ago, kind of something that motivated them. And just like the football team, it doesn't get, you got a freebie, arguably a freebie, this later this week against Eastern Illinois. As long as you do not lose by 70 plus, you will be the champions of the BBN United Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism.
There you go.
Hang a banner for that if you want to. And then you're right back at it. Starting next week, you're in New York City, Madison Square Garden, number 17 Michigan State, Tom Izzo, legendary coach in the sport. And I believe the Spartans, did they just beat Arkansas? Is that who just took off?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know where it was at, but it might have been at Michigan State, I think. But
somewhere. But they got the win over
yeah,
Arkansas. So you have a chance to, right after a tough loss, you have a chance to get right back in it with a big win. If you're looking at it positively, if you can kind of fix some of these errors, get some of these guys more where you want them to be, it's a chance to bounce back pretty much immediately with a big opponent. On the flip side, if you don't get some of these errors fixed, it's another chance to take another loss within a week. So we'll see. It's a blessing and a curse, but so far for Kentucky football, they were able to turn it into a blessing. So we'll see.
absolutely. Um, you mentioned football, and The SEC road losing streak and the SEC home losing streak have both
Gone.
been
Over.
snapped. We
Done.
have it's an actual winning streak, a 2-game winning streak.
If you actually want to go a step further, I think for the history books, when we look at this home losing streak, we should call it the Florida sandwich.
Yes.
Started with a win over Florida. That was the last one they got.
Yeah.
That was the Ray Davis game.
Yes.
Ended with a win over Florida. So the losing streak, the famed nearly 2-year long home SEC losing streak, the Florida sandwich, if you will, is over. The SEC losing streak is done with the win at Auburn, defensive battle 10-3, and then on Saturday at home, Kroger Field against those Gators of Florida, stunning, Vinny, absolutely stunning, 38-7. Oh my God, what did I witness? Could not believe it.
I just said it. I was doing my other podcast before this, my Cats Talk Wednesday podcast. What section were we in? 22, I think, towards the end zone from opposite in the student section. My arm was sore from going first down Kentucky because we did it all night, Cole. I mean, okay, so the Auburn game, classic Stoops, classic. Told my boys we were going to watch Kentucky. Look, honestly, I mean, were they excited to go? But they were like, "Yeah, we're probably gonna lose. We're gonna." And how could they not think that, especially as young as they are, and just see things the way things have been past couple of years? They're 16-13. Like, yeah, Florida's a mess, and Florida is a mess, but still, we, 4-8, and then everything we've seen this year, and the tempo and racking up first downs and mixing the play. Oh, 5-yard run, 8-yard run. Oh, nice little pass. Another 8-yard run. Just moving right down the field efficiently, humming. The way Louisville was last night, that's how we were in football
Yeah,
Saturday.
there was several. I think the first Hester touchdown.
Yeah.
First of all, just to prove that I'm human too, I got faked completely. I thought that was a run. I was full on tracking the running back until I saw the ball leave Boley's hand, and I was like, wait a second, what? I was like, what just happened? And then I saw the ball go over there. Hester catches it, manages to tap the pylon. I said, who am I watching? Because it's not Kentucky right now. That's not a Kentucky football play. I was like, first of all, if this was Kentucky, somehow, some way that would have been picked off. But no, it wasn't. It was Kentucky just absolutely humming offensively, and demolishing the Florida Gators.
And that Hester touchdown, I saw the pass, but I didn't see the pylon tap. So I'm like, oh, cool. Got the ball to 2. Great. And then I was delayed, we're cheering and then line of extra. I said, oh, he got in. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I think I looked down to start typing something, and then like someone said that was a touchdown, and I looked up and the referee's got his hands over. Said, "What?"
So I'm thinking now, here we go, goal line. Can we punch it in? I'm like, oh, and then don't even have to worry about any of that because, man, it was.
And I got to ask Seth McGowan about it after the game. I mean, Seth had a touchdown. Dante showed shades of week 1 against Toledo with that long run that was really the dagger, the 38th of the 38 points.
Yeah.
But also early on, Jason Patterson with a receiving touchdown. I said the whole running back room got involved on this. Hester with another touchdown in that one. I believe Seth had 2, actually. And then, Hester, J-Pat both had receiving touchdowns. Those are both of Boley's throws. And then Dowdell had 1. McGowan had 2. Got to do his 2 celebrations, the Zen, cross leg, and obviously the Thriller. Michael Jackson, he told us after he wanted to do that at Auburn. Halloween weekend, naturally, but didn't quite get in the end zone there. So he's like, he said, I saw the trailer for the movie they're making about him, so I thought I'd bring it back out anyway.
That's right.
Just a great game, and it felt very. I said it in my thread. I think it was very cathartic. After everything that had been going on, it may not solve all of the issues this season. Trust me, there's still plenty of people who are still not sold on this football team or even the future of this football team.
Yeah.
But at the very least, for one night, have to admit that felt good. I mean, that just against a rival like Florida, Um, at home, finally break that streak. It felt from start to finish just a great game, and it easily could have not been. Early on in the first quarter, there you had the muffed punt from Jamari Macklin sets them up
Hmm.
in the red zone for an easy touchdown. Kentucky actually ends the first quarter trailing 7-3.
Yeah.
Goes on to score 35 unanswered points. By the way, um, I got to joke around with Bush a little bit after the game. I said, can you imagine going back a few weeks to the South Carolina game and saying, remember that 21-0 second quarter that sank you in this one? Just give it time, and you're going to have a 21-0 second quarter that's going to win you
Yeah.
the game. I mean, it was unreal the amount of times they picked off Lagway 3 times, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
They forced some fumbles. They made plenty of big sacks, and we're talking about a defense that has had back-to-back great showings and has been beaten to the point of like breaking at this point. I mean, you lose 3 defensive starters
Yeah.
for the game, 2 of them on the very first drive, one of them on the very first play
Hmm.
against Florida. Luckily, I believe it was Afari who went down on the very first play. He was ruled out for that game. He is most likely out this week. I need to check when the availability report comes out. It's probably out now, right?
It's
Um,
about this time usually. Yeah.
Stoops told us on Monday he's probably not going to play this week, might miss a couple weeks, but is not done for the season. Unfortunately, Jordan Lovett, who also went down on that first drive on a rush by DJ Lagway that got the first down,
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
done for the season. And Sam Green, who goes down a bit later in the game, saw him leave the field at halftime on crutches. He is also done for the game and the season. Both Lovett and Green will need season-ending surgery, according to Mark Stoops. And Tavion Gadsden, hopefully going to be back this week, but he was a bit beaten up. Still missing on Ryan Nichols, who's been out since going down against Tennessee. But for at least one game, it didn't seem to matter. Young guys stepped up. People made plays. Nasir Addison continued to play well at corner. The guys who stepped up in linebacker played well. And the Kentucky defense holds Florida to just the 7 points, which they're, if we're being blunt, all but gifted by the special teams
Yeah.
unit. I mean,
Yeah.
I think by the end of it, Florida had 247 yards of offense to Kentucky's 401, but did really nothing with it. You look at, they were 7 for 15 on third downs. Ran more plays than Kentucky, but had like almost half the amount of yards. Just the defense playing phenomenal football. Still with that bad taste in their mouth from the Tennessee game, playing with a
Yeah.
vengeance. And they've been, arguably the last 2 weeks, one of the best units in the country.
Yeah, 2 plays away from 2 shutouts. So the Boley pick set Auburn up for a field goal, and then, like you said, the muff punt set up, the touchdown, the the go ahead touchdown that Florida got.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see Boley and Bush go back to Macklin a couple times later after he must have punt. They hit him on a couple passes later throughout the game. It's to me, it's always good to see that a guy makes a critical drop or a deflating drop or go back to him, get him involved, give him another chance to flush that bad play. So I was glad to see Macklin catch a couple balls later on throughout the game. After that muff. For sure, because for a moment,
I'm an
and
idiot. They're not playing an SEC game this week. There's not going to be an availability report.
Tennessee Tech, yeah,
They're playing Tennessee Tech, who is not an SEC member. There will not be an availability report this week.
that's right, that's right.
My
But
bad.
normally about this time,
Normally,
it's out.
yeah.
So yeah,
No,
I
I
wish.
agree with you though. Macklin was able to kind of make up some big play, had a pretty big reception there in that game too. It felt nice
Mhm.
that it wasn't a I'm trying to think. It felt like, sometimes there was like a John Calipari, when a player makes a
Yeah,
mistake, get him out of there. Might not see him as much the rest of the night. I'm glad that they still trusted Macklin in some of those situations, and he was able to make a big play that really helped Kentucky. Obviously, after the game, he's out there giving out, I think, either cleats or gloves to kids and being a part of the community. I
mhm.
mean, it's clear that this guy loves Kentucky, chose to come back here. I mean, this entire team. But I'm glad that he was able to really make up for that mistake and that the team was able to not break down from that mistake the way it could
Yeah.
have.
Mhm.
And if you'd watched that play, if you had told someone before the game that one of these teams is going to completely collapse, crumble, and arguably give up,
Mhm.
You would have, after that muffed punt, you would have thought, well, it's Kentucky. They're going to give up. They're going to just say it's a wash. They're not going to have it. But they didn't. It was, by the end of the night, it was Florida who looked like, I'm not going to speak, I don't cover Florida. I'm not going to speak for their players. I'm not going to say anything about their players that might not be true. But from the outside looking in, looks like they had given up by the end of
Yeah.
that one. Like they were just
Mhm.
ready to get out of there, ready to be done with it all. Like, let's go home. So that, I think that's a testament to this Kentucky team this year. I think it's a testament to where the program's at. And again, like we've said so many times in the show, you and I, Vinny, a testament to the culture that they've really built coming off of last year into this year. I mean, these guys never bent, they never broke, they never gave up. They've kind of stayed determined. And they're really, what it feels like to me, and I'll knock on wood. Got a little wooden candle over here. I'll knock on. That sounds problematic. It's not all wooden. It's not going to burn. It's a wooden lid to the candle. Relax. Um, it feels like this. It feels like when you look at the outlook of this Kentucky season, Tennessee Tech, ranked Vandy, ranked Louisville. None of those are easy games. Tennessee Tech's number 4 in the FCS, 10-0. None of those are easy. But if you told me 50 free dollars, place it on anything you want to, yes or no, I'm saying Kentucky's going to a bowl game this season. I think they win 2 more games this season. The way that they've played in these last 2 games, I think that they can beat Tennessee Tech, and I think that they pick off at least one of, if not both, Vandy and Louisville.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that this team just has that feel to it. The players have that edge to them. And the only thing that I would say would stop them from doing that would maybe be injuries. But
Yeah.
we'll
Mhm.
see. If they can keep playing like they have, we've heard some confidence in some of the guys that are filling in. So to educate the viewers a little bit, if they're not as in the know about it, Sam Green done for the season off the depth chart. Cam Olds will step up in his starting spot. Nothing new. Cam Olds has played a lot this season. Maybe not a name you hear a ton, but he's played a lot of football this season for Kentucky. Usually been pretty reliable. Steven Souls will still be playing in that role, and they added Lorenzo Cowan as with an OR designation with Steven Souls. Cowan has really come into his own in the Auburn game and the Florida game. These last 2 games, he's playing really good football, making some big plays there. He played well against Florida. I was going to try to pull up his Pro Football Focus grade if I could find that. Yeah, he finished with a 71.9 for the game, ranked
Mhm.
higher than Sam Green, ranked higher than Cam Olds, and just a few points below Steven Souls. So that's some strong play from a guy like Lorenzo Cowan. And then we also saw Lovett be taken off the depth chart. So we saw a bit more shifting there. So previously, Cam Dooley had been Ty Bryant's backup. He now shifts over and is starting in Jordan Lovett's spot. Stoops said that that's a guy they've always viewed as a starter. Cam Dooley made some huge plays. I think he was the one with the fumble recovery against Florida. He had a phenomenal game against the Gators. I think he
Yeah.
finished his Pro Football Focus grading is not as high as some of the others, but just eye test wise, how it felt in the game, I felt like he played really, really well. He was a good part of this team, and he's a guy they said they view as a starter. And then replacing Dooley as Ty Bryant's backup, you still have Dylan Williams, a true freshman who we did see play against Florida. He played pretty well, got a 63.2 on Pro Football Focus. He finished with, I believe, 10 snaps in this game, so just right at the threshold to get a grade. But also something else Stoops pointed out, something else to remember here. True freshman, yes. However, there are 3 games left in the season. Play him as much as you want to. Does not matter. Play him as much as you want to. Does not matter. That's something they even pointed out with
Yeah.
DJ Waller, who is getting closer and closer to a return. Stoops even mentioned that on Monday. He said he's a guy we're looking at. He's been one of our best defenders. He just hasn't been ready with the hamstring. But if he chooses to, 3 games left in the season. He played in the Toledo game. He can play the rest of the season if he wants to, and redshirt and return if he wants to.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
when it comes to some of these younger guys, some of these pieces you maybe been saving a little bit, these
Yeah.
last 3 games, it's kind of open season. You can throw guys out there, see what they can do, play with your depth a little bit, and not really have to worry about burning a red shirt for some of those. Jesus, some of those players. So that's exciting. Initially, we'll see how it plays out when the games are played, but there is confidence that even in losing those guys, it might not be the backbreaking blow that it might seem like from the outside.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you. Momentum is funny, chemistry is funny. The point when the cohesion and is flowing throughout the team is it's just you try to get it, but sometimes you just can't get it till you get it. And right now they seem to have it. And injuries with the way they're going right now, that's the only real thing that can kind of uh, throw them off would be to lose some depth right now because it was brutal to see those guys. And Lagway, I still don't know how he picked up that first down. He ran through like four dudes, and the initial when he hit him and you saw he bent him back, and
Yeah,
you
he
knew
like
you
it
knew it
looks
was
like
the
he
knee. I was like, oh
it looked like he
man,
bent backwards and like just an
hmm
awkward landing on the leg.
yeah,
Obviously, one, people were making some jokes after it first happened. Obviously, if you didn't see it as close, they're like, oh, he got ran over. But he was standing at an awkward angle anyway. I mean, anyone who's played football knows that if you have a weak base, not going to be able to stop even somebody much smaller than you. It's all about your foundation. He had a weak base there, kind of
hmm
falls back awkward that leg, and you could
yeah.
just see immediately, like, not that he gave up on the play, but you could see immediately when he folded backwards like that,
He
DJ
was
Lag was not his.
compromised. He was
It was not his
compromised.
concern anymore. He immediately grabs that leg and was
hmm
not getting back up. So, never good to see
hmm
that. Obviously, we've learned that we don't know the exact injury, but we know that is season ending, and he will have surgery, and that's a tragedy for Jordan Lovett, a guy who's been at Kentucky for a
Yeah.
very long time.
hmm
After the Auburn game, he became the first Wildcat in program history to record 2 interceptions in 4 straight seasons.
Mm.
So wish him nothing but the best and a strong recovery. Lovett's been a mainstay on the Cats for a while now, and that's maybe a guy that doesn't have some of the same. Maybe people don't remember Lovett the same way they remember like JJ Weaver on some of these
Yeah.
years prior, but a guy
hmm
who's been a mainstay on this Kentucky defense and a very, very valuable piece of some of maybe your favorite Kentucky memories in recent years. So hate that for him, and that's always tough to see a guy end most likely his Kentucky career with something like that.
hmm Yeah, because it's that the point of making a tackle, you launch and you're coiled up and ready to just explode, and he wasn't quite to that point, and that's where he got himself compromised and everything you said. Hate to see that. All the things he's contributed to the program, and senior day this weekend, and that you want to be out there for your last game on the Kroger Field turf, and state that it's not going to work out that way for him. The next man up deal, guys, they did play well. The guys finished the game because they had to go almost a distance against Florida and get more snaps than they went into it thinking they would get, but they were ready. And Brad White's got the defense rolling, and everything complimentary is what they want, and it's all kind of happening uh, right now for everybody across the board. So good to see, and it's crazy. 7-5 is on the table. You mentioned it; they could knock off Louisville or Vanderbilt. Auburn, who's a mess. There's so many teams that are a mess.
I
Interim
want to point out
coaches
too, if
in
they were to
disarray.
somehow if they were
They
to
went to
somehow win
Nashville and
out,
scored 38 points. They went to
yeah,
Nashville after scoring three, go on the road and score 38. So,
yeah. There's a possibility Kentucky could win 8 games this season.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
ridiculous. If you'd
Exactly.
said that weeks ago, that's ridiculous, but it's possible. I mean,
It's
these
on the
two
table.
back-to-back wins, obviously, again, we have to call a spade, look at it what it is. Kentucky has been shaky at times this year. You cannot take any of these games off. Even Tennessee Tech, I know it's FCS, number 4 ranked in the FCS, 10-0.
Yeah.
They're a good
hmm
football team. They're going to
hmm
test you. But if you can play the way you've been playing in these last 2 games, all 3 teams left in the schedule are vulnerable. They're
Yeah.
vulnerable. Vanderbilt has looked shaky at times. They've gotten some big wins for sure, and they've
Oh,
made
yeah.
some. They're gonna have to hold down the fourth quarter comeback if they get ahead. But
hmm
Vanderbilt it looks beatable, and Louisville just took a tough loss to Cal. Even more than just losing to Cal, the thing that I think is most important with that, not that I'm saying Louisville will, I'm just saying, if we're looking at the entire scope of things,
Mm-hmm.
the loss to Cal all but certainly knocks them out of the ACC title game.
Yeah.
They can still make it. It is rare. It is a low chance. They don't make the ACC title game, they're not going to the playoffs.
Yep.
Louisville will not get an at-large bid of the college football playoffs.
Yep.
So we're looking at a team right now who just lost a tough up and a great freshman quarterback from Cal. I'm not trying to disrespect Cal here, but that loss to Cal almost certainly knocks you out of the ACC title game,
Mm-hmm.
almost certainly knocks you out of the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and your coach is very heavily linked to other jobs right now.
Yes.
If a team was going to fall apart, it would be now. This would be the time that they start to crumble. And it's possible they don't. It's possible that they continue to play well. It's possible they win out. I'm not saying that they will. I'm not trying to, do any copium here after the Kentucky loss in basketball to Louisville. I'm just saying, if you're looking at this from outside, this is an opportunity for Louisville to crumble if they're going to. This is a chance for it to happen. And if that happens, there's a good chance Kentucky wins that Governor's Cup back. There's a chance Kentucky upsets Vanderbilt in Nashville. I'm sure they're going to be an underdog in that one, but there's a chance they do it. There's a good chance they beat Tennessee Tech. Then you're a 7-5 football team. You go to a bowl game, don't know who you're going to get. You could win that bowl game, 8-win team.
Man.
And then you're looking at a completely different outlook on the entire season, quite frankly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy to say, but it's true.
Yeah. It'll be, the whole stay or go conversation has a whole different look, and some that might be dead set on him being gone. Yeah, well, it's
My
yeah.
opinion on that, and I don't know. I'm not Mitch Barnhart. I'm not in the board of trustees. I don't make any decisions. I'm just barring some kind of crazy loss to Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter what happens for the rest of the year. If they beat Tennessee Tech, Mark Stoops will be your coach next year.
Mm-hmm.
I also think if you make a bowl game, that's even more surefire. And I guess the thing that I'm really struggling with going back and forth on is when I tell myself that fact, right? I pose that reality. Vinny, I'm not sure that I hate it. I'm not sure that I'm upset with it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm maybe, I don't think I'm very naive. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. I think that actually, when it comes to sports, I'm pretty pessimistic. I've learned. I actually got told that today by somebody that they said when they ask my rating of a game, they always actually believe it's 2 points higher than I rate it because I tend to rate things lower. Learned that about myself. Didn't know that, but apparently I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to
Hey.
sports. So maybe I don't think I'm naive and I tend to be more of a pessimist, but when I look at this state of Kentucky right now, Mark Stoops has told us all year that this is a better Kentucky team. And
Yeah.
it's just taking time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So far, that's true. It is just, you can say wins, losses all you want to. You can look at this team with your eyeballs, look at what is happening in reality right in front of you. Mark Stoops had a quote. He said, I'm not going to deny what's right in front of us, what's true. This is a better football team than last year.
Yeah.
It is. This team could have crumbled and didn't. They are responding to adversity better than last year's team could have dreamed of responding to adversity. They're staying dedicated and locked in the face of adversity, in the face of losing players, losing games in heartbreaking fashion, having things go against you in games like the muffed punt. Quite frankly, I think at last year's team, the muff punt happens. That's it. Wrap it up, lads. The rest of the game's going to suck. It's going to be terrible. And that hasn't happened. That has not happened. Quantifiably,
We
this is
saw
a
better teams do that with Missouri. You're up 14-0, and they hit a fake punt on you, and it just after
It
the
just
first quarter,
crumbled, completely collapsed, fell apart. This team has not done that. It has not done that in that way. And I think that even in some of the times that they have, like the 21-0 second quarter against South Carolina is going to live in infamy. But let's not forget, even if the offense couldn't get going after that, the defense still didn't let South Carolina do a whole lot. They still kept fighting, even in spite of that. Maybe you could say Georgia, they just didn't really have that much fight in them. The Tennessee game, Tennessee kind of did whatever it wanted to, obviously exploiting a matchup weakness there. But those are really the only two games this year that felt like Kentucky just wasn't in them. And even
Mhm.
the Georgia game, they had a chance to tie it or take the
Yeah.
lead. They
Mhm.
didn't early on. Um, but you look at this team, they're responding to adversity better. They're building better. Cutter Boley looks like not perfect, but he
Mhm.
looks like a potential to be a really good SEC quarterback of the future. Obviously, he had a big quote after the Florida game that the players were pissed off seeing the hate towards Stoops. They wanted to win for Mark Stoops, and
Mm.
obviously Mark Stoops being the coach he is, try to downplay that a little bit, try to say, we want to win for each other, obviously. Like, I appreciate that, but I don't think that's what he meant. That's what he said. Okay. You can downplay that, make it a team first thing if you want to. Cutter Boley said they like playing for Mark Stoops. He's a player's coach. They believe in him. They believe in his consistency. They were upset seeing him take as many shots as he was taking. And you still got people out here trying to say that if Stoops stays, Cutter Boley's transferring. Like, we can say what we want to all day long. Okay, I'm gonna take what he tells me to my face, and then what the team tries to backtrack a little bit because they wish he didn't say it
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly.
When someone says something the team is trying to backtrack, that probably means they meant it. All
Yeah.
right, and I talked with Josh Brown as well, the offensive lineman, about laying a foundation. And I asked him, I said, when you came to Kentucky, especially in your position on offensive line, your immediate goal is to win games this year, right? You want to make Kentucky better, but you're also tasked, and you knew this coming in. You are tasked with taking a program that was once trending upwards and is now trending downwards, and you're hoping to turn that around, lay a new foundation for this team to get better even
Mhm.
after you're gone. And
Yeah.
he was pretty honest about that. He said that is something that they were honest about that when they recruited him, that it wasn't just we want to win now, you're also laying a foundation, and that's something that the team knows and is taking very seriously. The older guys in this team, even some of the guys that have struggled at times, that is something they take seriously. They take rebuilding that culture seriously. And again, I respect Mark Stoops for not doing it. I've said that. I've said that on radio. I've said that on here. I've said that everywhere. I respect that Mark Stoops will not just outwardly diss last year's team.
Yeah.
That would look bad as a coach.
Mhm.
I will say, as a reporter, however, major culture issues, major team issues, dysfunction all over the place. This year's team culture seems way better. The players seem more locked in and dedicated, more professional, business-like. And when you really look at the offensive line, easily better than last year. The quarterback, maybe not all of it was Brock's fault. Quarterback play better than last year. Wide receivers, arguably kind of trending upwards right now. The running back room,
Mhm.
obviously Chip Trayanum got injured last year. It's not all their fault. The running back room, immeasurably better. The defense
Mhm.
looking more consistent, playing well. The defensive line's playing phenomenal up front, those guys. Um, this is a better football team, just like we've been hearing. And I think that, there's a lot of talk that, like, in the modern era with NIL and the transfer portal, that you can rebuild a team in 1 year. I think there needs to be an asterisk on that, because one, it's a lot easier in basketball, so let's just wave
Yeah.
basketball away. But two,
Mhm.
even in football, it is true that Indiana has found a lot of immediate success under Signetti, but I would say it's a lot easier to build a program in 1 year if you are a new head coach as opposed to a head coach who is struggling and trying to get back.
Mm.
A head coach that is pre-established, that is having some bad years, might not be able to turn around in 1 year. That might be more of a multi-year kind of thing. And so far, if you look at it through that lens, if Stoops comes back, I don't hate that possibility, because coming back, he's not necessarily leaving the hot seat. If the season goes bad, then you're right back where you started. You're just
Mhm.
not in one of the craziest coaching cycles of all time. But
Right.
on the other hand, if this is them starting to build back, if they are able to kind of, like Stoops has said, you can only, and he was pretty candid about this, you can only fix so many problems in one off season.
Mhm.
You know, you make all those changes and then you hope to be able to build upon that. I wouldn't be shocked if, this is things starting to trend back upwards. I would believe
Mm.
it. I would, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying that in my heart that's necessarily what I believe. I'm just saying I'm open to the possibility of giving
Yeah.
it a chance, at least compared to what the alternative could be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't know if I'm pessimistic. I try to be realistic and objective as possible. But everywhere I was at over the summer, I said the best I could see Kentucky doing was 5-7. I always said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not out here wishing they struggle and I want to see them do well all the time. But I'm like, the best I could see was 5-7, and they might stub their toe and still do that. But if they keep on this trajectory, and you said if go 6-6 or 7-5, I'm gonna be happy to see it. Chance to win 8 or chance to win 7, depending on what they do, and get back to playing in the postseason. Yeah, so yeah, I'll be glad to be wrong about what I
Yeah,
said.
I would too. And
Yeah.
I also want to point out, I do it sometimes too. I'm not innocent in the matter, but I know what's going to happen too. I know what's going to happen is if Kentucky does win out, even wins 8 games, there's going to be people who move the goalpost and are like, okay, but this would still be a disappointing season compared to where Kentucky was. Hush. Stop talking. Stop saying that. It doesn't matter because every season is a new season, okay? I'm with you, Vinny. When the season started, we talked on here, and I said, I don't see this. I see this team being 4-8. I don't see, you said 5-7 at best. I said at absolute best. I don't see that. I didn't see that happening at all. And I said I would see 4-8, maybe even 3-9. The fact of the matter that this team could win 7 games,
Yeah.
might go to a bowl game, and is, again, a tough FCS opponent, not trying to write them off as a free victory in the way that other FCS opponents are, but hypothetically, they should be they should be 5-5 after this week. That's 500.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
500. All right. If you had told me that this, like, you can say, you can move the goalposts all you want to, and you can say at the end of the year, okay, but this is still worse than the 10-win Kentucky teams. Yes. Thanks for stating the obvious. Coming into the season, this was supposed to be a 3-9 or 4-8 team, and they have a chance to win 7, maybe 8 games. They have a chance to go back to a bowl game. By every metric, this season has been a massive success compared to what our expectations were.
And for the people that move the goalpost and say that Kentucky should be a 10-win team, and there's what is it? There's just a handful of teams that historically over however many years, 20, 30 years, that average 10 wins. And a lot of blue blood power teams that you think would don't. And we can want Kentucky to win 10 games. They're not a 10-win program. They've only done it 4 times in their history. So you
Stoops
can't
has done
sit
it
there.
twice.
You can't sit there and be like, yeah, we're supposed to win 10 games. No, look, we were where Indiana was just a couple years ago. We were the basketball school that was in the playoff mix and ranked and all this. It wasn't able to sustain it, but we were just there. The 2 10-win seasons just happened within the last decade. We saw them with our own eyes. Because prior to that, it was Derek Ramsey, and I was born halfway through that season in 77. My dad would tell me about the Derek Ramsey and the 10-1 and went to Penn State and beat them and they beat LSU and all this amazing
How'd that go right after
stuff.
that, too? How'd that go right after that, too?
Hey, Frank Hershey was doing what he had to do, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, again, wasn't able to sustain it that long. But Kansas will pop up and go to an Orange Bowl a few years ago, and North Carolina pops up, the basketball school. Whoa, turning heads in football. We've seen Kentucky have their run. We wish they could get back there. It's fun to be at the bigger kids' table when it comes to football and getting talked about with respect on all these shows. And it's not there now, but if he goes 7-5 with a chance to win 8, easily one of his best coaching jobs. Maybe
Absolutely.
his best coaching job in the 13 years he's been here.
Arguably. And I think when you look at the expectations this season, it has been a success. And I'm excited at the potential to see where that goes. If you want to be the kind of program that wins 10 games consistently, I think you need to understand that that's going to take some time. Okay, I understand you look at Indiana, what just happened. This is the first year with revenue sharing coming up. This is the first year that Mark Stoops has said he feels competitive financially. And I saw people pointing out after the whole Zach Calzada video, that whole thing, that they made a whole big fuss about, the fact that Zach Calzada is allegedly getting 1.25 million, and he's the backup quarterback now. Evan Wibberly is making a decent amount of money on this team to be the backup center, which was not his expectation, but he's the backup center. And there was people who were going on to say that, like, why would we keep Stoops when I don't believe they can evaluate talent very well?
Mm-hmm.
Like they gave too much money to Wibberly and Calzada, and I saw that. But I also, if you will indulge me for a second, I want to read some names to you real quick, Vinny. Just a normal list of names: Seth McGowan, Kendrick Law, Hardly Gilmore. Let's go down the list here: Josh Peets, Josh Brown,
Mm-hmm.
Alex Wolfschlager. You got Cam Olds, Mike's Humphrey Grace, good one, David Gusta. You got just you get the point. Just because these two guys did not work out does not mean Kentucky had a bad transfer class. Some of their best players were transfers. I'm not
Yeah.
sure where this
Yeah.
this notion that Kentucky can't evaluate talent comes from, really. I think people just want to be mad about something. But no, Kentucky did pretty well. And sure, you could say that Calzada got a decent bag to come here and play the backup. I would point out that, one, I think Calzada was still pretty cheap for a quarterback.
Mm.
Two, every quarterback in the country knew that Cutter Boley was coming back, and the predominant feeling was that eventually this was going to be Boley's team. So if you're a great quarterback, why would you choose Kentucky? Quick question: If you're a quarterback prospect who's transferring to be a starter and try to be the guy somewhere, why would you choose Kentucky, where you kind of it always felt like whoever came in was on a timer until Cutter Boley was ready? Um, you got Calzada for 1.25 million allegedly, and that's pretty cheap for quarterbacks at times. If we're being honest with ourselves, quarterbacks tend to go for a premium, and I think that, sure, he was disappointing. Boley had to start sooner than we thought he would, but Boley starting was always the expected outcome, I felt like. And then to Wibberly, it's too early to tell, I think, in my opinion, because, sure, he's been the backup center to Burton this year, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not like Burton is the center he was a few years ago. Burton has been very reliable and very steady,
Yeah.
and the offensive line has been good.
Sure.
So if you gave him a bag and he ends up starting next year, are you that upset about it? Not really, because it's not like he's gotten beaten out by someone who's not good at the position they're playing. Burton's
Mm-hmm.
been fine. He's been great, even,
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
right.
So, like, I personally don't care that much that Wibberly is not starting right now, because the starter has been fine. I feel like the only time you care that somebody's not starting is when the person above them is not playing to the level you want them to play to. No complaints out of Burton this season so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't care that Wibberly's not starting. If you got him and he develops well under Burton and he starts next year and he's a good piece of an offensive line next year, then I'm fine with whatever you paid him this year. I don't care what you paid him this year. It doesn't matter to me, because I think Kentucky did great in rebuilding their team. And if you expect some of these guys, especially some of these young guys that have to play now with the defensive issues, to be able to fill those roles more long term, to play well, you're going to be getting back a good amount of talent next year. And you should be able to, with a more competitive financial playing field, fill some gaps that you're missing. This could be built into something that becomes more consistent. I'm not
Mm.
saying Kentucky's going to be a 10-win team next year. I'm saying
Right. Mm-hmm.
we could go into the season with, say hypothetically they win 7, 8 games, even 6 games this year. The expectation was 3-9, 4-8. I'm
Yeah.
saying by the time next season rolls around, even if Mark Stoops is still the head coach, the expectation preseason could be at worst 7-5, 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
And that's back where you started to expect Kentucky to be, because let's not pretend in the 10-win seasons that everyone's like they're definitely winning 10 games. That's not how that usually goes. In fact, most of the time people thought they would win 10 games. They didn't. They would go like 7-5 or something.
Yeah.
The 2 times they did win 10 games, I feel like most people didn't expect them to.
Yeah.
So, you're getting it back on the right track, and I'm willing to, especially looking at the cycle and what it is right now and who's out there, I just have to ask, your hope is John Summerall, right? All the people wanted to hire John Summerall. Who do you get if you don't get Summerall? Because Summerall is also linked to other jobs. And regardless of who you get, do you genuinely believe that hiring somebody else that is available right now is going to make Kentucky that 10-win kind of program regularly? If the answer is not immediately yes, then what do you have to lose from one more year of Mark Stoops maybe getting back on track, you know?
Yep. Good points, man. Good points. So what time you heading to the box Saturday for Tennessee Tech?
Oh, God. It's a 1:30 game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be up in the box by at least noon. Probably leave my house around 10 a.m. Got to get my windshield replaced, so nice.
Always fun.
Shout out Snow.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So crazy. I mean, we know it's getting close, but it jumped in here early and snuck in on us for a little bit. And then it's supposed to be in the
Gone a
70s.
day later.
Yeah,
Gone a day later.
yeah, it's supposed to be in the 60s or 70s again here in a few days. So yeah, everybody will be sick and sniffling and having all these colds and stuff. So crazy. So everybody follow you on the Cat's Paws. Retweeted the column. Get the basketball column, football column. So get all the reaction and tweets and quotes from Cole and the Cat's Paws. Shout out to A Sea of Blue. They post their episodes up on their site as well. So appreciate them for doing that. Appreciate everybody takes the time to listen and watch and tell your friends about us and give us 5 stars and rate and review and subscribe and all that good stuff. So have fun recapping it. Sucks to lose to the Cards, but glad to see football, getting some wins and being able to feel good and get some monkeys off their back. So congrats to all the seniors. We'll end at Kroger Field and then finish out strong in Nashville and Louisville. Cole and I will be back to just keep you to date on all things Cats. So keep coming back, keep listening to Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Network. And Cole and I will holler at everybody later. Go Cats. And we'll talk to y'all next time.